What if your descendants could no longer recognize you as human? What if they looked at your biological form and saw something primitive? Would that be evolution's triumph or humanity's end? Some scientists argue seriously that around 2045, a technological singularity will arrive, a point of accelerating progress so profound it transforms society at its very foundation. This is not an outdated prediction. A follow-up published in 2024 updated that argument, and now the question has shifted from when will we cross that threshold to how do we control what comes after, a real policy challenge. We may be standing on the last pure page of the long journey called evolution, or we may be writing the very first line of an entirely new story. Today, I want to explore what comes after the human, together. Let's confront, directly, the questions of the transhuman, the post-human, digital consciousness, and the end of biological humanity. By the time this video ends, you may find it impossible to use the word human in quite the same way ever again. Chapter 1. What we once were. Here's where I want to begin, by asking what we actually are. Homo sapiens. Our scientific name, it means wise human. As sites like Jebel Irhoud in Morocco suggest, we emerged in Africa at least 300,000 years ago, and biologically, we have remained fundamentally the same ever since. We did not become faster, stronger, or smarter. We survived by generating cultures capable of adapting to our environments. What's extraordinary is this. Across roughly 300,000 years as Homo sapiens, our brains show no dramatic change in size. Not through physical evolution, but through culture, language, and society, non-biological tools, we came to dominate this planet. So what changes from here? Technological progress can transform society and human capability on timescales far shorter than the generational cycles biological evolution requires. It took our ancestors thousands of years to move from stone tools to bronze. Fewer than 80 years have passed since the computer first appeared. And here's where a crucial question emerges. If humanity changes this rapidly, how much can the biological definition of human shift before we are no longer human at all? This is not a philosophical word game. It is the question we, living in this moment, are facing right now. Only by understanding what we have been can we begin to ask what we might become. But the real mystery starts here. Humans are now attempting to design themselves. So let's look at what is happening at the frontier of that design. Chapter 2. The Designed Human. In 2018, the scientific world was shaken. Chinese researcher He Jiankui claimed to have used a gene editing technology called CRISPR to rewrite the CCR5 gene in twin girls before birth. Authorities subsequently ruled this illegal, and he was convicted. Let's think about what this means. Humanity attempted to deliberately rewrite genetic information, and the scientific community swiftly judged that it had crossed an ethical line. CRISPR is a technology that cuts and splices genes the way a word processor edits text. Clinical applications that modify the genes of somatic cells for therapeutic purposes are advancing rapidly. In 2023, treatments targeting sickle cell disease were approved in both the United States and the United Kingdom. The door from research into medical reality has begun to open. However, modifications that are heritable, those that rewrite the blueprint for future generations, remain severely restricted under the WHO and numerous international frameworks. The technology is becoming possible, but the question of what is permissible exists on an entirely different level. Beyond genetics, research into brain-computer interfaces, BCIs, is accelerating. In invasive BCI clinical studies, paralyzed participants have been reported to control cursors and robotic devices through thought alone. More recently, research has expanded beyond motor control to restoring speech and writing by decoding brain signals in people who have lost language. BCIs are reaching into communication itself. Neuralink, the company founded by Elon Musk, conducted its first human clinical trial in 2024 and announced that a participant had successfully operated a computer using thought alone. The current goal is narrowly defined, restoring function for people with severe paralysis, but visions of expanded knowledge access have also been spoken of. Bandwidth and safety verification lie ahead, but this is no longer the territory of science fiction. There is a philosophy that captures where all these technologies are converging. It is called transhumanism. First proposed by biologist Julian Huxley in 1957 and systematized in its modern form by philosophers including Nick Bostrom, it envisions a transition to the transhuman, an intermediate being whose intelligence, lifespan, and emotional experience have been vastly expanded through technology. And here's where I want to pause and consider something deeply unsettling. If intelligence can be enhanced, does that make those who are not enhanced inferior? This is not a technological question. It is an existential question about human dignity and equality. When humans begin designing themselves, an asymmetry emerges between those who are designed and those who do the designing. Throughout history, such asymmetries have always produced profound ethical crises. So what lies beyond the designed human? Let's venture into a deeper mystery, the question of whether consciousness itself can be digitized. Chapter 3. Can consciousness be uploaded? Among post-humanist ideas, one concept is the most radical of all: mind uploading, digitizing consciousness and transferring it onto a computer. More precisely, it is called whole brain emulation. The premise: measure and model the brain state at high resolution, then reproduce it computationally. But here's what we don't yet know. What must be reproduced and at what resolution for consciousness to emerge? The conditions themselves remain unknown. The human brain contains approximately 86 billion neurons, according to estimates using methods such as isotropic fractionation. The synapses connecting them are estimated on the order of roughly 100 trillion, though the range is wide, and the precise number is itself an active area of research. To fully scan all of this and recreate it digitally would require processing power that far exceeds the limits of today's computing technology. Yet in 2024, scientists announced the complete decoding of the entire brain connectome of the fruit fly. Every one of approximately 140,000 neurons and 50 million synapses was mapped. The next target is mammals, and then humans. 86 billion neurons is still a distant horizon, but it is no longer an impossible one. In 1995, philosopher David Chalmers named this the hard problem of consciousness. Why does the physical activity of the brain give rise to subjective experience, to the feeling of what it is like to be something? Science does not yet have an answer. And here's what I can't shake. If the nature of consciousness remains unsolved, how could we ever claim that a digital copy possesses the same consciousness as the original? It might be a duplicate of you. It might not be you at all. Consider this for a moment. If your brain were fully scanned and digitized, and in that same moment, the biological you was still alive, which one would be the real you? This is not a thought experiment for the distant future. The answer to what consciousness is will determine what we can become next. And here's the question that surfaces now, at the very end. When post-humans are born and look back at what we are today, what will they think? And if we are the last generation of biological humans, what is our responsibility to leave behind? The history of humanity has always been driven by the capacity to imagine the next version of ourselves. Now, that imagination has reached the point of questioning the very concept of what it means to be human. Let's take a moment to gather what today's exploration has revealed. Chapter 4. The Endless Quest. Today, we venture deep into the question of what comes after the human. At the end of the long journey called biological evolution, we now find ourselves attempting to design the next stage with our own hands. What that means, we don't yet have the answer. But the act of continuing to ask is the very essence of this journey. Let me share 3 insights drawn from today's exploration. First, humanity has entered the age of self-design. The approval of CRISPR-based gene therapies, the connection of brain and machine through BCIs, these technologies have already left the laboratory and are becoming medical reality. The pressure of natural selection continues in altered forms, but humanity has begun layering intentional intervention on top of it. This is a quiet inflection point in the history of life. Second, the mystery of consciousness will determine our future. Where mind uploading and fusion with AI will lead depends entirely on whether the nature of consciousness can be solved. Without resolving what Chalmers called the hard problem, we cannot replicate consciousness, and we cannot even begin to speak of the ethics surrounding posthuman personhood. Third, we may be the last generation to ask these questions. The beings who emerge after transhumans and posthumans may not carry the same questions we carry today. If that is true, then we may be the last purely human humans capable of asking what it means to be human at all. The weight of being able to hold that question, we must not forget it. These three insights point toward a single truth. This is not a story about the distant future. The choices made in this very moment are already writing the next chapter of humanity. I'll be direct. Today's themes were filled, even for me, with questions that have no answers. Every time science opens a door, deeper questions wait on the other side. Perhaps that is what it truly means to know something. Today's exploration places a great question in our hands. If a world arrived tomorrow where enhanced and unenhanced humans lived side by side, what would we call human dignity? And how much change could you undergo and still feel that you are you? There is no need to answer these questions right now, but keep asking them. That may be the most deeply human thing any of us can do. After this video ends and you return to your day, try to notice something. When you reach for your smartphone, when you ask an AI a question, you are already standing at the entrance to a future where humans and machines have begun to merge. Each of those steps is a living answer to the question of what it means to be human. Technology will keep accelerating, but the capacity to ask questions, that belongs only to us. As long as you keep asking, whatever comes next, I believe something essentially human will always be carried forward. Share your insights in the comments below. Your questions are the force that drives this channel forward. I'm grateful you stayed with this intellectual journey all the way to the end. If you haven't yet subscribed to this channel, where we keep asking about the nature of humanity, the mystery of consciousness, and where we are headed, please do. The universe, AI, life, time, this is a journey that faces every question head-on. Turn on notifications so you don't miss the next exploration. Your curiosity makes this journey go deeper. Until next time.